So today I'm going to be going over how to choose one of these orthotics or insoles. So the first thing that I'm going to tell you is how it actually works and why we're using it. So we have the arch support in every orthotic or insole, and what this does is there's a couple bones inside your foot that if you lift them up ever so slightly, it causes the bones in the foot to be more stable and also use less force to keep the integrity of the arch and to keep everything together. So once you make all the bones and joints more stable from supporting just a couple of the bones, the plantar fascia doesn't have nearly as much tension, so that means less stress, so that means less pain. That doesn't mean that orthotics and insoles are a cure-all, though, because they're really great when your plantar fascia is extremely weak, especially from degeneration, but it doesn't mean that you should depend on orthotic or insole to fix your pain. Usually orthotics and insoles will make your feet a lot more weaker because your feet don't have to work nearly as hard to support the arch. And so what we want to do is that we want to support the arch for a little while temporarily so that your so that you can fix all the perpetuating factors of your plantar fasciitis. Then slowly over time, after your pain has disappeared, you want to go to a less and less supportive orthotic or insole, and also shoe. You don't want to wear supportive shoes for the rest of your life. You want to slowly have less and less supportive shoes. An orthotic is usually a heel cup kind of thing, or this is called a 3/4 orthotic or insole. Some of them are full length, some are even smaller than this, and they cut off like half right here. But all of them have in common is just the arch support. Arch support is the #1 thing that makes all these things work. Some of the arch supports are more in the back or posterior, and some are more for the whole arch of the foot. You do not want to have too much arch support when you have plantar fasciitis because it can cause other issues too. So make sure that you try many different insoles and orthotics to find what works for you, because everybody's foot is very different. Over time, our bones, the collagen matrix inside the bones, the ligaments, the joint capsules, everything adapts to your lifestyle, and over years and years, your foot bones, find themselves where they need to be. Today, I also want to talk about, though, with orthotics, is that it's very important that with an orthotic, you have a shoe with a good wide toe box. The reason I'm saying this is because there's not just one arch in the foot. There's the medial arch, which is the inside arch. That's the big arch that you see like on the inside of your foot, and then there's the lateral arch. The lateral arch isn't that big of a deal, and it doesn't need nearly as much support because usually the smaller that you make things, the more stronger they get. So the lateral arch isn't that needing to be supported. But there's one arch that's very crucial and to know about that people don't really talk about, and that's the transverse arch. That's the arch that goes across the foot bones. And right here's a good depiction of it. So we have the foot as seen from the front, and you've got the big toe, and then the little tiny toes. And so it makes an arch like this. And so every time you step, that little arch spreads out every single time. And so if you wear a shoe that has a small toe box, right, your foot is going to hold together like this, and then it's going to take that pounding force, and it's going to hurt all the bones, the joint capsules, everything else. And we don't really want that. We want the toes to expand every time you step. We want them to go, splay out every time that you take a step. That's very important. It's not, even if you have plantar fasciitis, it's not just about strengthening the areas and so on and so forth. It's about getting a good nutrient and waste exchange. And every time your toes splay out, the muscles on the sides of the foot and on the bottom all start working like crazy to support the foot how it should be. And that's more efficient. And also, every time it splays out, you get nutrient pump in and then waste out, and that's really crucial because the foot's so far away from the heart. And so a really big thing that we have an issue with the foot is not having enough nutrients and waste exchanged in and out. If you have any swelling of the foot, for instance, any kind of venous insufficiency problems, that's going to really hinder your healing down there. That's why plantar fasciitis, usually you'll see other disorders going along with it, whether it being neurovascular or lots of pain syndromes, lots of bone issues, lots of other stuff. And so we want to get nutrients in, waste out. So back to choosing an orthotic or insole. I always get off track. But there's another thing to keep in mind. So what I've said so far is make sure that you have a wide toe box, so that the transverse arch can move freely, and then the medial arch we want you don't want it too big, too small. You want to try on a bunch of different orthotics and see which arch support works for you on each orthotic or insole. Some people like an arch in the back, some people like it in the front, some people like a long progressive one, some people like a smaller one. Another thing to keep in mind is that a lot of them have a cup in the back, okay? And what this does is it keeps the fat pad squeezed together. And that is alright in some ways because it lessens the impact on the plantar fascia. The plantar fascia doesn't actually feel too much pain. What happens is the surrounding tissues start giving off chemicals, and those chemicals sensitize the nerve cells around the plantar fascia, so in the surrounding tissues around the plantar fascia. So when you touch your foot on the floor, it hurts really bad, but it's not so much the plantar fascia that's causing that pain, it's the surrounding tissues and those sensitive nerve fibers, and also the mechanoreceptors. Those are the things that tell you how far something is stretching, that all tell you, ouch, that hurts. So the reason a heel cup makes you feel less pain is because it pushes that fat pad together, and it makes it so there's more cushioning right underneath the plantar fascia where the surrounding tissues are. They cause you to feel pain. So what the thing about that is, though, is it doesn't so much cause your bones or joints to be in more stable positions. All it does really is reduce the pain, and that's not really going to fix, your perpetuating problems, factors that cause your plantar fasciitis. Also, having a very rigid orthotic, very, very important. If your shoes are very rigid in the back, then you can have a slightly softer orthotic. Also, your shoes and your orthotic have to bend at the toes. Your toes have to be moving. They have to splay out wide. They have to be able to move like this. Your big toe has to be able to move. If it doesn't, then a lot of the muscles around there become dysfunctional and also promote issues of nerve entrapment, which can also cause issues because wherever the nerve goes, you have artery and vein. So you'll usually have venous insufficiency in some areas or more stagnation, perpetuating trigger points, perpetuating fascial adhesions. So much more stuff to go on with that. But yeah, and also just because it's $600 or because it's really cheap does not mean it's better or worse. Okay, you have to try on all the ones you can, and if you're really strapped for money, try on all the ones you can, and then buy the one that is the cheapest that works for you, and so on and so forth, and buy it online afterwards. So try it in the store and then buy it online. That's what I was trying to get at. I hope this video clears up any confusion you guys have with choosing orthotics, because it can be very tough to choose them. And yeah, thank you so much. Check out my website, pfsurvivalguide.com. Alright, take care, guys. See ya.